Another week, another Newzchain exclusive. And in this episode, we are speaking to Vikram Anand Bhusan, the co-founder of Hypermine. If you're someone who's interested in decentralized identity, security, and zero knowledge, this episode is for you. Welcome to Newzchain exclusive, Vikram. So we actually have been, looking forward to speaking to you. And like, I said back there, we did create some questions for you, but like the format goes, it's super candid and everything. So we'll go with a free flow. So before we dive into the nitty gritty of the entire ecosystem, Web3 ecosystem, what you're building, I would, kind of like to know where you were in life before Hypersign was there.
Yeah. Do I need to introduce
Oh
myself?
yeah, please.
Okay. I'm Vikram. I'm co-founder at Hypermine. Hypersign is our product. And before starting Hypersign, we have been we are three co-founders, me, Irfan, and Vishwas. All three of us were doing different things. Okay. But at one point, we all had one common intersection. Right. So which is what I wanted to explain you. So back in the days, I was doing two jobs. One was, of course, my standard software development, right, 9 to 5, and also I was a drummer. So and I used to play like a budding drummer, you can say.
Right.
Like I had went through a lot of courses and all, and after that I was doing decently okay. And then I joined some band, and the genre was like blues and funk. Okay. And a little bit of jazz.
Right.
And that time, Bangalore was famous for metal music. So every venue used to invite metal bands and hard rock bands and give less preference to band like us, like right, jazz or blues funk. Mm-hmm. My co-founder, back in the days, he was doing another startup called Chiply Live.
Okay.
And their main focus was, and they started in Europe. Okay. And then they moved to India. Mm-hmm. So there they wanted to focus on jazz musician, mm-hmm, and the musician like which they can curate music for right, people based on their taste. And that's how I ended up meeting him. Mm-hmm. My band got couple of shows through his company, and after his client became happy with our music, we almost like did like 2 years of working together. Okay. So that's how I met him. And one day we were just chilling, and like how people, right, musicians chill. Right. And then he says like, dude, have you heard about Bitcoin? I'm like, no. Yeah, I have heard about it, but I don't know what it is. He said I had couple of like some Bitcoin on an exchange, and it got hacked. And then he was like, dude, what do you think if we can convert music into something like what Bitcoin has done for money? So that's how our actual conversation for getting into Web3 happened. Right. And then what happened was like my brother, he was working in a research team of a software company in Chennai. And he was working on something called like FIDO servers. FIDO is basically an login without password. It's an you can say a protocol which was developed by Microsoft Alliance. And he said like we told him about this idea that we are thinking. He said the first problem that needs to be solved is access to blockchain, because creating wallets is difficult. So and then he talks about like, look, I'm doing something similar in a FIDO where password is a problem, and we are trying to replace that with help of private keys. Right. And so basically that's how you can say common thought process. And then Irfan says that, hey, before starting Chiply, I have been selling ID products for all my whole life. So he was general manager for quite big companies who are into security and in Middle East and Africa. And he implemented like SIM-based identity system for African countries and in countries in Middle East, which I did not knew, because I met him as a musician, Right. So you can see there is a common connection here. And we like that time there was no company. We decided, okay, we will make a group and start doing hackathons. Since Irfan was from an enterprise side, right, in his previous job, Actually, he didn't wanted to do that. That's why he started doing music.
Okay.
I didn't wanted to do the software development, so I was doing music.
Right.
But then we all ended up into this, which brought us back to the like a circle. So life is like sometimes it revolves. So making it short, I would say that this is what got us into trying to solve the password problem. And then we were like, okay, Fido has one problem where the Fido server is centralized.
Right.
Even though we are solving the, let's say, security problem for the user end, if the hacker gets access to Fido server, technically it is the same thing. Like passwords are also stored in a server where someone is trying to hack it and steal your password.
Right.
Now they can hack the public keys and rotate it or whatever, change. So what if we can bring in some blockchain infrastructure which can decentralize the key management, and that was the initial idea of passwords. And before doing Hypermine, this is how we got into hackathons and started doing some hackathons like ETH India 1.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
We are from ETH India OG hackers.
The OG.
Yeah, and then we did like lot of hackathons, but our always the goal was same. How can we make login without password stronger, so there is like less hacks and all this.
Correct.
So yeah, that was the
I think it's been quite a while that from hackathon to Hypermine, where exactly you guys are right now, also in terms of how the company has evolved so far.
So another story. So sometimes you don't know actually you want to start a business, right? So you just do something because you just love it,
right?
And you might not do it to monetize that.
Correct.
And for us, the love was to build something unique, and that's why we started participating in hackathons. But participating in hackathon doesn't give you industry experience. What is the difference is you might get the technical problem of an industry. So we won like 6 security hackathons in 1 year, which means everyone was saying what we are doing is sort of right or wrong. So people were accepting it towards like they could potentially implement it. But these guys were always like technical people in a business. So in people who come in hackathon or who do hackathons, they are usually CTOs and this kind of people, right? But when it comes to actually building a product, product means you need to have acceptance by the business.
Right.
You can actually make money out of it.
True.
Yeah. So this knowledge came after we met Kavya and Raghu from that time. They used to run a company called Lumos Lab, and they used to do hackathons, of course, and also used to do accelerators. So they used to bring international accelerators to India and connect them to Indian developers and ecosystem. So they introduced us to AE Ventures, where we ended up getting accepted. And AE Ventures guided us that, look, you guys have done one part of it, which is the hackathon. Now you can do something in technical.
Correct.
So although you feel this is a product, but we don't think so this is a product. You need to now go and first decide which industry you want to tackle. Do you want to actually help enterprise where there is already so much competition, especially in password? There are big companies. It might look like password is a small thing, but it's an industry in itself. So do you have understanding of that? Or you want to get into something which you love, which is like solving for Web3 people, right? Like that's what gotten us into AE Ventures Accelerator and also gotten us into ETH India and Ethereum ecosystem. So we said like, yeah, we would love to do something for Web3 industry. Then password doesn't work. I'll tell you why. Web3, you don't use password at all. You use MetaMask wallet to log in. It doesn't need password. It is already solving the password problem. So then they said like, you need to go deeper, talk to our invested companies or other Web3 companies, talk to their general problems around different things, and then figure out what is the one problem that connects you and also a common problem across these people who for which they are ready to pay for. So we started doing research, like talking, no coding, talking to a lot of founders, and we realized Web3 is divided into 2 types of companies. One is a company like Dexes, all the perpetuals, and this is one community that these companies do not collect data. So all they want you to have tokens in your wallet, and you can access their product. They just need that information.
Okay.
But this is a smaller segment. This is called DeFi.
DeFi, right.
Although value-wise it is big, the whole of Web3 is DeFi.
Right.
But if you look at number of companies, these are small number of companies.
Okay.
So what is the big number of companies are normal businesses who are around this helping DeFi companies grow, right?
Right.
Which means...
if you could give an example.
Yeah, I can give many examples. Like, very simple, HR companies who are helping bring employees into DeFi for DeFi companies, or KYC companies, or who are verifying these, like, employees or their users. Or then there came like the stablecoin boom, where you had to be compliant with regulatories regulation, and there were many companies in this space which kept evolving. Just it started becoming little more stable, right? The industry. So what I saw, like, DeFi has already reached its stage, and they actually have not direct relation with users' personal information, but then all the other companies are going to need user data. So I started talking to them in this segment, let's say Web3 HR company, or Web3 KYC company, how they are working. Because they have to collect data, they have to give information to regulators and be compliant. So they said we are still using all the existing Web2 product. Like they are still storing all the information in database, centralized database, because they didn't had a proper product which can somehow have the same ethos of privacy and decentralization related with user data, and still cater to compliance, somewhere in between. There wasn't a product that time. The products that were famous, like there were some KYC companies that were famous, but all of them were just a traditional KYC company. Having customers in Web3, you can say. Technology wasn't built ground up. It was just existing KYC tools they used to solve or to use in Web3 ecosystem. So we thought, like, okay, this is where, and then we started observing what is the core problem here, right? So it is more like a so I want to little bit abstract away from this from specific of like technical specific of data management, but what I'm trying to say is generally in your real world, day-to-day life, you have privacy. If you and me are in this room, other people don't know where we are, right? They don't know, they cannot hear us, they cannot know what we are talking about. But this is not existing in digital world.
True.
Digital world, if you give information to a website, basically everyone in
just out there.
In the company just have information about you, right? They can get that information from a database. So there is no way that your data is like private to you, although they have to keep the data because of compliance reason, but still they need to ask permission from you if they have to give it to someone else.
Correct.
That's one. So this whole problem is, it's not like we are trying to only solve it. There are there is a body called W3C, World Wide Web Consortium.
Correct.
They govern internet. So Web 2.0 is what the version that we are using currently, like HTTPS you see, right? So now they come up with a new paper called Self-Sovereign Identity Standard. And they are trying to educate everyone that now we need to bring from a company-centric softwares to user-centric software. And when I say user-centric software, it relates with the user data, not like all type of data, but when it comes to managing user data, it should not be company controlled, but it should be, or a business controlled, but it should be user controlled in some shape and form. So this is a new, you can say, white paper, which they wrote, and then we decided, based on the problems we collected, right, from the businesses, this is one technology which relates to somewhere in between. That it brings in the privacy layer for user data. It does not completely disrupt that you cannot collect data at all, because if they don't collect data, their business will not work. compared to DEXs, which don't need user data, right? So, and then like this A Ventures people, they actually helped us to bridge this problems from our customers, and then what technology could be built. And that's how we like moved away from just a problem, password as a problem, to a complete ID data protocol, where we are trying to help businesses build software which is user centric. Now I can tell you examples which is existing already, because back in the days there was no example, so it was difficult to explain people. Now in India, I think almost every big airport has got DigiYatra.
Right.
It is the best example to explain. If you have used DigiYatra, so you know your face biometric is your access into the airport. So what they do is three things. First, your face biometric should not be available or stored by any third party. So when you enter into the airport, just like how you will be physically entering the airport, you are physically entering into a server, but with your biometrics, and all your tickets are connected with that. But you are actually not giving them information of your biometrics. Somehow it is coming from your phone, mobile app. And once you leave the airport, within 2 hours, this whole data gets deleted. And
that's
no data is being shared to the like authorities, airline, government of India, which controls airports, right? There is an authority. They don't have this control of data. Your data is only with one body in India, which is Aadhaar. But you are still able to share your information to airport authorities. You can just, you have a better user experience, because now you can just walk in and you have decent level of privacy there. The only issue is that while you are in the airport, people can see you in real world, so they can also see you on digitally. I'm trying to make it very simple and dumb. So until then, your data is exposed to the vendors and all the different software. But as soon as you leave airport, your data gets deleted. And also when you are sharing the data, it is only tokenized information. Like Aadhaar has verified your biometrics, and Aadhaar is saying, yes, you are right citizen. And this is the biometric hash, which is being used by other vendors or someone to pinpoint who you are, like, you know, get your unique identifier, you can say. So this way you are able to experience a better user experience. And imagine the same thing in an event where you go, like large events offline, right? Same problem, you have long queues right now. This is going to get disrupted. I cannot talk more, but we are working with some companies in India, large scale company. I hope in next couple of months it gets matured, our proof of concept, and they deploy it. So then you will see the same user experience that you have on the airport while going to events and buildings and all this.
Okay, so Vikram, let's dive into, you know, two core aspects of this, the tech aspect, SSI and zero knowledge. Could you, you know, somehow share your thoughts and shed some light on it?
Yeah, SSI stands for Self-Sovereign Identity Standard. Like I was saying, it is governed by W3C organization. And the core principle of this, like three principle basically, or two you can say. One is like minimal data disclosure. In this comes two parts, like disclosing data or facts on a context. Let's say you are going to buy an alcohol, and the guy wants to know whether you are citizen and also an above age, whatever age bracket they are. In that, if you're sharing, let's say, your passport or your Aadhaar card, you don't have to share the whole document. You can only share a fact from that document which is related in this context. Right? That is called minimal data disclosure. Now, second part of that is now, which is now getting more adopted slowly, which is like no data disclosure. And this is a term like we were discussing called zero knowledge proof, where you create a token out of your piece of data that you want to share to a business or someone in the context of like your exchange. And this token will verify that the fact that business is trying to get from you, but without telling the actual fact inside that. So for example, like same example as verifying whether I am above 18 or not. One way is like divide my passport information and only give you the date of birth. But in that case, you still know my date of birth. Although you don't have my passport, but you still have my date of birth. That is minimal data disclosure. Now, second part is zero knowledge proof, where I tokenize the date of birth and give you a token which is like an encrypted information, you somehow are able to verify with that information that I'm above 18, and this information have come from a document which is signed by government of India.
Right.
So this way you are able to know that I am from India, and also my age is above 18. So that is like a minimal, like you can say, core principle of self-sovereign identity. That is SSI, and zero knowledge proof in simple terms for you. Now this is the idea, right? Like how this should work. Now, what you need is, there is something called verifiable credential. There is something called DID, decentralized identifiers. And then there is called encrypted data vault. And the last part is like consent log. So I'll just try to map all these four technologies. Now, what DID is? An identifier that a user can control. And what the difference between a user control identifier and or your unique ID that you get from any application? A simple example is, let's say you create a Twitter profile, and then you tweet and all these things, right? So all your data is associated to your Twitter profile. But one fine day, Twitter just thinks like you have done something wrong. They completely wipe you out of the system. You don't have your data, although you are not allowed to use that system, but you are still should be allowed to have the access of the data that you share to the system, right? You don't have that because the identifier itself is gone. Twitter controls that. So what SSI is trying to do is just change this one part, because everything else revolves around it. So they are saying now the business would ask user to give an identifier. When I say give an identifier, not just type your unique name, but you somehow are able to create this unique name on a blockchain ledger, which you control from your own private key, and then you share this unique identifier. And then business associate all the data with this identifier. And this association of data is stored in a form called verifiable credential. Every piece of data is signed. When I say associated, which means every time you're signing with your own keys. Like your mobile phone, they will ask you some information. So when you are filling the form, it will ask, hey, can you just give your fingerprint? What is happening there is your private key from your phone is being used to sign that document and convert into verifiable credential, and then store it along with your unique identifier. So now the data that business is keeping have a proof that you actually shared this data. So now it comes to compliance side, they can also know that yes, actually this user had shared this information to this business, and if something goes wrong with it, then they are supposed to keep it properly. So there is consent log. Now the third part is consent log. Like when someone wants to share this piece of data which is stored with them to someone else, they have to ask consent from you. And you might have seen consent on a website, like, hey, can you accept my cookie format? But there is no way to actually digitally prove that. It is still like a database entry that yes, this user has given a consent. They never ask you to sign a consent, right? In that case, you just click a button.
How does that kind of work?
So they are just keeping it in a database that yes, user has given yes or no. What if their employee has changed it? And it's accepted, like when they are sharing report that yes, all my user have given consent, but none of them has actually given consent, right? So what if they would have converted into an SSI system? They would ask you to sign with your mobile phone. And which means every mobile device has a key in it. They use that to sign it, digitally sign it, and then keep it with them. They still have the data, they can still do the reporting to government, but in this case every data has a format called verifiable credential, where it has the fact that this data, what is this data about, and also who issued this data, called issuers, and who verified this data, called verifier. Every information. So let's say I'm keeping passport information. I would divide passport information into like their age, their date of birth, their address, their name, and every piece of information has signatures from government of India and the user, and also someone who would have verified this passport, right? And then this data is kept with the businesses. Now when someone wants to share this data, like the business wants to just give it to someone else, saying that we are giving you service through them, they need to ask consent from you. And this is also logged in something called consent log, which is also on a blockchain ledger. Now your actual information is not on blockchain ledger. Only these consent and the transaction when this is happening with the data, and when the data is being shared, it's you are getting to know about it, and then you are sharing consent, and then only the system works. So this is the core principle of SSI, and in this, zero knowledge proof is a technology also which is being used to hide the information and share it.
Okay, this is actually, super insightful. I have only, like, so far in my entire tenure being a journalist, I never actually dived so deep into SSI or ZK. This is actually very insightful. Okay, let's just go from the tech part to, the non-tech part. I mean, I have so many follow-up questions. You come from a, music background, from a Web2 background. You ventured into Web3 and now so deep into the tech. Was there any moment when you felt, oh, it's like, it's too much or too ambitious or anything? Was there any such moment?
Yeah, man, like I would say if anyone wants to get into SSI, they should have like you can beat me.
No, that's fine.
Honestly saying, like any other business, you can get like people to pay for your solution, right? If you're giving a service. But what if you are giving privacy as a service? Nobody wants privacy.
Right.
Right. In a way, like you go someone, hey, I will hide your user information. You won't get your like your customers' information. They will say no.
Right.
Say so. This is the kind of business where we are into.
Right.
Now, it is a challenging. Still, we are in the challenging phase. We have went through multiple ups and downs. But most important thing is when you truly believe. I do, like, I am not saying this as just to fake it, right? Like just to say some big words as a founder, because I have not achieved something big, right? So far, I'm just still a struggling founder, you can say. So I'm telling something which is like my own personal experience, is that if you like think about something all the time, right?
Correct.
Somehow it starts getting materialized.
Right.
Like let's say you want to build an ID system which is privacy preserving.
Right.
But of course you don't know anything about it initially. But just the fact that you love this space so much makes you do things that you would have not done in any other sector or whatever. So that way you learn all the basic stuff, like how to do business, how to make your own circle, to build, like, your relationship is the most important thing, how to build your relationship, like all the basic stuff of a business building. But what I'm trying to say is that when you want to change an industry, you have to think from a first principle, of course.
Correct.
But also you have to love that idea. So as long as you love that idea and your team members are into it for that, like me and my co-founders, we fight all the time.
Okay.
But what we see, like, even with money, without money, absolutely no money, some money, we have been like fighting, but we have been together only for one reason. All of us, we just love doing ID stuff, like identity and privacy, and building user-centric application have helped us be together and keep moving forward. So regardless of you are into identity or any other your own stuff that you want to do, the first thing, you have to love what you are doing. Second, you just don't have to be blind. You also have to learn how to do business and what are the basic know-how you need to know in order to do a business, right? In the end, the crux is you need to have someone who can pay for your service. Then only your business would survive. If you don't have a paying customer, your business or service will not survive. So even though you love, but if there is no customer, this is not a business. This is just your fantasy. So, but fantasy is important to materialize something.
Correct.
And every time if there is a new technology from ground up, somebody actually thought about it like crazy. Like he just loved, or he just thought, nobody is thinking this way.
Correct.
But somehow he had the right guidance from people like his advisors or his investors, that hey, I know you love this stuff, but to get to here, you also have to solve small things, which is like actually getting customer feedback, and if they are ready to pay for the solution or not, like have a business, have a revenue stream, have a core team which can stick with you for a long time, which is the most important part. So I don't know if I answered your question.
I got the gist. I think it all makes sense. And now I have like one follow-up questions, not like entirely follow-up, but I have spoken to like a lot of Web3 and Web2 founders, and everybody has a very different take on decentralization.
Yeah.
Some come up very strong saying it's not, you don't really have to talk about decentralization, that our product is decentralized.
Yeah.
And there's one part of the founders who go, really rogue on the tech. I kind of go with the former part. I believe a product, if it is solving a problem, I don't really have to talk about what's going behind the screen, centralized, decentralized. I believe there are folks who really just want the solution to the problem. Which part, I mean, where do you belong in this two-part segment?
And remember how I started. I started as a hackathon project. For even after raising my first round, you can say, I was still that dumb founder who thinks like tech is everything can solve. And the dumbest part is that time I didn't even know the tech properly. And I was talking shit, which, I mean, although you have to go through all this, we knew something, but we didn't know everything or most of the thing that would require us to build an ID system. So what I realized when I think about myself back in the days is that business, it should be business first. Like what you are trying to solve for whom? Like there has to be people who have problems in their business or their life, which can be solved through certain technology. Now, you can solve it with centralized way, or if you have learned something new which is upcoming, you can solve it with in a decentralized way. You don't have to talk only about your technology. Remember when I came first time here, I told you like I went through your questions, but I have been trying to formulate in a way that we do not just talk about tech. We do bring the technology in, but more important is that how as a product people can consume it and use it, right? So again, I am now, when I'm talking to you now after 4 years or 5 years of being founder, I am more like in the second like the part where I'm more focused on problems than a solution. Problems than a solution. But I know so much in depth about the tech part that anything I'm going to solve is going to solve in a privacy preserving and a user centric manner. So having an in-depth knowledge about tech is important, but it is also important, equally important, to understand your customer. So make a balance. You can't be on one side of the spectrum. But I can guarantee you, if you're starting, and if you are a tech guy, you will first focus only on tech stuff. Unless you have like big mentors who you look at and you're saying, like, let's say Elon Musk is your mentor. Of course you will do anything that he's saying. But anyone else, you would just follow what you love to do. But then slowly you will gradually understand the other part. And if you're not tech, then you will only focus on the business and you actually do not know how to solve this, how a technology would fit in. So you will not be able to convert customer. So having a knowledge of both sides decently is important. Relationship building, understanding your customer's problem, and then mapping it up with the right technology or solution. So right now I am in a balanced mode, but previously I was more like a tech guy. Everything is technology. We can solve everything with Web3. This is the conversation we used to have.
Got it. Okay, so Vikram, before we kind of wrap, I have like last two questions for you. I'll ask them like at one go. So first, importance of the network. I mean, even if you have a network, that leverage that you were talking about, and if you could put out some steps for someone who's just starting out in Web3, and wants to build a company or a product, or is trying to solve a problem, how that person can go from 0 to 1 or beyond. So yeah.
So just to understand your question, first one is about network, like how to build network, and the second one is about like how someone can start off.
Right. In that network part also, it's not about like how to build, but also even if you already have an existing network of people that you may kind of know or just talk with them on a daily basis, but nothing
is coming out. I got it. Okay, so first thing is that I am also learning. So whatever I will tell you is from my experience that I've learned. May not be like the best answer for you, or it might not work exactly with everyone, because everyone has their own different So tech is like, you learn a tech, it is black and white. You put zeros and ones and you get output, right? But when it comes to business, it is all relationship. And then the human factor comes in. So what I'm trying to say, me as a human, like, my own circle would be very different than someone else's. So what I am going to tell you is based on my own experience and my friends or circle, you can say. So now, like we were discussing before, everyone keeps talking about this word, right? Your network is your net worth, right? And but I feel just having that network doesn't help. It has to be leveraged network, then it converts into net worth,
right?
Which means, and this is where, like we were talking, you said I have like lot of followers on LinkedIn, but actually most of the followers are dead followers, like for you it is dead.
Correct.
So, or for me also it is the same. I have so much followers, but they are like, not everybody is providing value for me. First thing we have to understand is that our professional friends are different than our usual friends.
Right.
Like Facebook, you can have a lot of friends because you might not need them to help you in something in your life. This is how I look at Facebook, for example. But same is being copied on LinkedIn. Now LinkedIn is suggesting everyone to increase your reach, right? I don't think so that's right way to look at it. In LinkedIn, it's very different, because if these friends are not adding value to you in some shape and form, then they are not your professional friends. You should just cut them off. So so how you can do this is by like trying to talk to each of them. Let's say there is a connection, like the example that you chose. Hey, I am trying to DM them to, let's say, bring them here to have a meeting with them, but they don't respond to you. The problem is, like, they don't know if you can add value to them, or your meeting would add value to them, and there is no one else to build that first level of trust. So always it is better to find a friend who knows someone who you want to reach out to. So he creates a warm introduction. And in my opinion, you should basically stream down your LinkedIn into people that you have warm introduction with. So like LinkedIn shows that you have 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels. And so you only focus on level ones, like which you have direct conversation, and try to use that, and try to use your friends as a leverage in order to get value add from them and value add to them. Now, in this, the most important part that I think that plays a crucial role is how you are as a person. So you have to understand the person whom you are talking to, like not just, and then the other part comes in when you, even if you want to have a business with someone, first you have to connect with them on a not commercial level, like being a friend, or have a common things to talk about. For example, all three of us had music as a common thing. We really connected with that, and that helped us bring to a position where like what kind of person I am, that the kind of question you can ask, which can help potentially to this videos segment and everything, right? So just an example. Same thing you need to do it with your own friend circle, professional friend circle, and try to see how much of them can be your actual close network. And then try to leverage them to reach out to and create your network bigger.
Understood. Good.
But most likely it will be not more than 10 people. Yeah, so that is one.
Good.
And the second one is like people who want to start off. Like I said, first find something that you really love. Because if you love something, then regardless of what are the challenges that you are going to face in future, you are still going to use. You keep doing it until you are satisfied with it, or you are done with it. Okay, no more. So you need that drive. So first you need to know what you love, and then second you need the guidance. So you need a good advisor. And advisors helps you move in the right direction to convert your passion into profession or a business, right? So find that advisor who are into the space, and reach out to them and take them. So I think this should be the easy goal, like easy way to look at it. If you can do these two steps, then the rest of the things will just start opening up. So for example, I'll again take example of a developer. So for a developer, the best part is get into hackathon.
Right.
But don't just get into hackathon to make money, which we were discussing before. Now, a lot of developers are just coming into Web3 to win hackathons and make money, and then that's it. They don't have any other vision from it. True. So I suggest hackathons are for you to train you to how to solve problems.
Correct.
Right, because they give you a difficult problem, give you a short period of time, and you have to solve that. But try to use it in a constructive way, not just look at monetary aspect of it.
Right.
Use it where you can use this system in your own day-to-day life. You can help your mom and dad or whatever, like my problem, password problem, it started with my dad's problem. Like he was resetting his Facebook profile almost every month. I'm like, why he has a new Facebook profile, like 6 Facebook profile in 1 year. Asked him, he said, I keep forgetting the password. I know everyone who to send the link, so I will again create a new profile and ask them to. So that's how. So I'm saying, like, try to find the problems that connects you most, and then go to a hackathon to understand the tech part, and probably make your own circle from there, which can guide you to make it into a business or a startup.
Right. Amazing.
So that's.
I think amazing. We got like so much wisdom, and unfortunately we are kind of wrapping this conversation because of time constraints. But yeah, those who are watching, I just want to. There's part 2 coming. I'm definitely kind of going to have another conversation with you, and we will cover a lot of other aspects from Web to tech and everything. But yeah, Vikram, it was amazing speaking to you today.
Likewise, I love talking to you, man.
Right.
You make things so simple.
Thank you so much. Also, like, we may kind of talk about music as well. Our producer is there right behind the camera. He's a musician. Vikram is a musician. So yeah, we are going to cover a lot. Cool.
Part 2 is incoming.
For sure. Cool.